We all know that Excel is powerful, but remembering every formula? That's another story. In this lesson, David will show you how ChatGPT can act as your formula coach, generating, explaining, and even troubleshooting Excel formulas so you can spend less time Googling and more time analyzing.
With ChatGPT, you don't need to memorize formula syntax. You just describe what you want to do and it writes the exact formula for you with explanations. Let's see how that works step by step. Let's say you want to calculate the total sales by multiplying quantity and price. Instead of trying to remember the formula, just ask ChatGPT. Well, I'm going to type in, how do I calculate total sales if quantity is in column B and price is in column C? ChatGPT replies with the formula equals B2 times C2 and often explains how to copy it down the column. Well, that's already useful, but let's take it one stage further. What if you only want to calculate sales over £500? Just describe that condition. Write an Excel formula that shows high value if total sales B2 times C2 are greater than 500, otherwise put standard. It gives you if B2 times C2 is greater than 500, high value, otherwise standard. All right, now that's very good, but the one thing I must point out about this is that in Excel, as I'm sure you know, you mustn't have spaces here. So when I copy this code and switch over to Excel, we'll see if there are any spaces added.
So when I paste it into the formula bar, you can see that in fact ChatGPT has left spaces in here. So that's a cautionary tale there, folks. Please be aware that you do need to take all these spaces out. We do need the double quotation marks because we are pasting in text, so we do need that, but we don't need any spaces. So for example, there's a space after that comma there. Okay, so do be careful with that. Now that now works. Let's just see if that is replicated down the remaining cells, and it is. That's excellent. Okay, so we're now calculating the multiplication of 200 by 399. If that is over 500, it's putting high value. If it isn't, it's just putting standard. Okay, so let's switch back over to ChatGPT and see what we can do next. So this time I want to ask ChatGPT to generate a formula to calculate the average of column D when the region column B equals north. So let's see what it produces for this. Okay, so it's giving me an average if function. Once again, have a look and you can see that there are gaps in here. So I'm going to say average if B to B, north, D to D. Okay, let's copy that code and switch over to Excel again. And this time we're looking at the regions sheet. So we want to calculate the average, right? So it doesn't know the range here, so it's just given me the two parameters, column B and column D. Okay, so average if, so B to B, so I'm saying for that reference I want that particular range, and for that reference I want that particular range. Okay, and don't forget we still need to go through and take those spaces out, and let's see what that produces. Okay, so we've got the average for this range of cells as long as this matches north. So that's 1, 2, 3. 3 values there match north. Let's move on then.
If you have a problem with the formula, you can ask ChatGPT to fix it for you.
So this formula is giving me an error. If B2 times C2 is greater than 500, put high value, otherwise put standard. Can you fix it? Let's just see if ChatGPT identifies the problem. And I can see straight away what the problem is. Yep, it's the fact that we are missing a comma there. Okay, so if logical test, value if true, value if false. Absolutely. So that's the correct solution. And in fact, I think what will happen there is we have no spaces. So if I copy that code and switch back over to Excel again, let's go on to the error sheet this time. So the problem that I had with the original code is that that didn't work. It's just giving me high value and standard, and that's because there is a comma missing. So if we insert the comma and then retry, we'll see that problem has now been addressed. Okay, excellent. So the final thing I want to do here is to ask ChatGPT if it can add up another conditional formula. Write a formula that calculates the total of column D only if column C says approved. Okay, so let's see what it says for that. Once again, sum if. Okay, and it's given me the two column references here, C to C and D to D, because obviously both of those are endless. There's no parameter established. So I'll copy the code, switch back over to Excel again, and on the expenses sheet we'll see if this works. So we're looking for the total of this particular column. So I'm going to click in E2, click in the formula bar and paste in my formula that ChatGPT has provided, and these two need to be changed. And don't forget, we've got spaces to remove here. There's one, there's another. Okay, so now we can see that the sum of all the approved expenses comes to 3949. I'm just going to add those together just to see whether that's true. I'll just use a simple auto sum function here, and I'll say I'm going to add together all the approved. So that's that one, comma, that one, comma, that one, comma, that one, comma, and that one, and hit enter. And there we go. There's the proof of the pudding. So when we add up all the approved, we get 3949.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for news of my latest videos. We have a lot more Microsoft 365 tutorials on udemy.com, and there's a discount coupon link to my Udemy course in the description. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.